Republicans need to choose their next move carefully. Here now for a fair and balanced debate on all of this, Jason Rowe, a Republican campaign consultant who served as an advisor to former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, and Richard Socarides, a Democratic consultant, former advisor to President Clinton, both esteemed guests. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Jason, you first. Let me ask you about what the Republicans could do at this point. Is the repeal and come up with something completely new still on the table at all, or are there parts of this overhaul that they think are good for Americans? Because you saw the number of people that showed up today that were not in favor of cost and control, and that seems to be the issue. It isn't that the American people don't want everyone to have coverage.
Right. Well, the first thing I would say is, this is the problem with big government, is when you give people taxpayer-funded goodies, it's very difficult to take those goodies away. And, we now have passed this legislation. The president has signed it and is now law. So, as many resources that came to bear, the hundreds of millions of dollars spent on lobbying and shaping public opinion on this, not to mention a 100% unified Republican Party and 34 Democratic votes. If the opponents of health care were not able to defeat it last Sunday with those resources and that momentum, I think it's increasingly difficult that they could repeal it. So it probably is what it is from this point forward. I think in terms of, do Republicans stay on a message of repealing or fixing, I think that remains to be seen. And I think we need to see if maybe it makes more sense for a Republican majority to fix that in 2011 rather than trying the Herculean effort of repealing something that's already law.
I wonder whether constituents will wait till 2011. Richard, what parts of this do you think the Democrats would be willing to give up? You're familiar with what the GOP has proposed that isn't in this bill now that's been signed. So what do you think?
I mean, I don't think we're going to give up any of it. I think we're excited that we've gotten as much as we've got. I think that the Democrats are going to want to build on this. But, I mean, I think what you've said basically up till now is correct, that this train has left the station. And I hope that the Republicans keep arguing for repeal, because it would be fantastic for the Democrats in the midterm elections. I mean, people are going to start to warm to this. I think that what the voters did not like clearly was the process. It was a messy process. You did, in fact, have a lot of money, a lot of special interest money, trying to maneuver the Congress and the president around the edges around these issues. But now we've got a bill. We're going to see what it's like. We're going to see what it's like to live under. But I predict that this will be as popular as Social Security and Medicare going forward. I mean, that is where the trend of history is.
But, Jason, Medicare recipients, many of them will have reduced benefits, and a lot of people who believe they will get health care immediately under this measure won't for some time, although a lot of people will be taxed in the interim. So if the process, just take that alone, is something that the American people didn't like, is that enough to change the balance of power after the midterms?
The process was something that offended people while it was occurring, but, every day that we get away from that vote from last Sunday, it will be another, day that people forget what that process looked like. And it was ugly, and as the old saying goes, the legislative process is akin to watching sausage be made. You don't want to see it being made. The challenge that we have is, you're right, people might expect benefits to kick in instantly, and if they don't, they might be frustrated. But we're only talking about a period of 7 months until the elections. I don't think that is a window large enough to really impact the elections. Second part is, whatever people don't like, if it's a reduction in Medicare benefits or any other element of this that will be unpleasant, those things aren't going to happen until after the election. And so the Democrats really have the best of both worlds here. They get to claim a victory on this thing legislatively, a big lift victory, whether it was good policy or not, and no one's going to feel the pain that comes from this until after.
I have to let Richard in, and Richard, I only have 15 seconds. You brought it up about the process, how this came about. The American people followed this very, very closely. What will Democrats say to them in order to keep the seats that they stand to lose over
Democrats will remind people why we needed this, because this was an urgent problem in our country, and now we've taken affirmative steps to fix it. The issues around pre-existing conditions, the issue about caps on expenses. The point is that the status quo was simply unacceptable, and now we have made put a major step forward to fixing this. We'll have to see over the next years what works and what doesn't. There'll be tweaks, there'll be adjustments. There always are on something as major as this. But if the Republicans want to keep arguing about whether this ought to be repealed in toto, I say bring it on.
All right. Richard Socarides, Jason Rowe. I'm not sure that's what Jason was saying. In fact, I think he thinks that might not be the way to go. But
Right.
Thank you very much. Fair and balanced. Good to see you.